2, 3.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me up here in the front so we can begin the memorial. Thank you all for coming. The Dibbles, the Crafts, everybody thanks you. We are assembled today to memorialize a very good friend of ours by the name of Donald Alvin Dibble III. His boy is here, his daughter is here, an ex is here. So he's a father, he's a grandfather, he's an ex-husband, and a good friend for all of us. Unfortunately, he was called up north, way up north, to help the good Lord. And with that, we would just like to say, Our Father, who art in heaven, you may join me. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. I would like for you to know that I'm going to be emceeing this thing. So next is Patricia, who has a few words to tell you. She's used to doing this.
She's not used to it. Is everybody here that was here this morning? There's nobody straggling upstairs, hopefully. Where's your brother? I'm just going to hold up just a second. There's a few people coming out that were in the shop.
As we are waiting, I would like to add on that he was a fellow Vietnam vet. He was in the U.S. Navy. I was in the U.S. Army. And for all of us veterans, may God bless us all.
All right, do we have everyone here? Just waiting on a few more people to come out. Okay, all right.
Speak loudly for those of us that can
Okay.
That'll help. Thank you.
And if I accidentally hug somebody without a mask on today, I just have to say I've had both my shots. If I'm a little, if I'm mask inappropriate, that's why. But I'll try to be respectful. Before I go to my little speech, a few people have asked, and our dad did pass away from COVID, so God forbid that we would transmit anything to anybody here today. So we're gonna try to keep most things outside and stay spaced from people. Mike, you want to come up here with me? This is my older brother Mike. If anybody doesn't know Mike, and this is my younger brother Mitch. You guys want to come up here with me? Mitch, baby Mitch, and Mike. There's Randy Hashem, Eric. Okay, I hope I'm speaking loudly enough. Can everybody hear me?
There was a no over here.
Well, Bob can't hear
He
anything.
just got Say anything you want to about him.
Can anybody sign?
I'm good now.
Okay. All right. In Matthew 5:4, the Bible says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." Grief is painful, and my brothers Mike and Mitch and I are indeed comforted by you being here in remembrance of our father. Your support and presence is a true gift to us. Thank you for coming. It really does mean a lot. There are so many stories and memories that I look forward to chatting with everyone about today, and I've had a really good time already this morning. It's been really neat catching up with some people. But for now, I want to share how all of his friends have contributed to our family and to our family's life. I think compared to most people's upbringing, my brothers and I, we had a little bit of a different journey, you know, being the kids of Don. Yeah, pluses and minuses. There are people here from all seasons of our dad's career, and there are a few people here that I realized I've known since I was about 10 or 11 years old. And Mitch, his entire life, right? Mike is a couple of years older than I am, so I'm 56 now. What does that make you, 58? Or
that's how it
thereabouts.
works.
So, which is almost, I mean, just to put things into perspective, it's so long that we've known a lot of people here. There are people who have come today to simply acknowledge that Don impacted them at one time. And there are people here, and also some people that weren't able to come, that have come to Don's side and to my side time and time again as he aged and became more dependent on other people. I was living in Houston. My dad was still here in San Marcos, and there were some folks that really helped the two of us out. Bob and Leah Arnett. There's Bob and Leah. Were so devoted to our dad, and they really were my crutch for the better part of the last 10 years while Dad was declining in health. Dave Parrish was a really good friend to my dad. When he went up to Houston in particular, he used to come into the little care home where Dad was living and just bring him lunch and just sit and visit with him. And one thing I thought was so amazing is Dave came and took Dad, who really was barely walking at the time, to the movies. He did the whole thing on his own. I was like, what? You know, I'm a nurse. I did not tackle that. Nick was our MC today. Rosemary's around here somewhere. They were always checking in with me. Nick would just text me, hey, how's Don? And it just meant a lot, you know, that somebody else was thinking about where he was and wondering how he was doing. And I was always able to pass that on to my dad. And he wasn't able to speak anymore, but he would just kind of nod his head in his Don way. Nod his head. Ron Coley was so good. Before my dad moved to Houston, he would come up here and just sit and have lunch with my dad. He saw my dad on several different hospitalizations. Just really nice. And of course, there's Eric. I hadn't had any contact with Eric for years and years and years until it came time for my dad to exit the shop, and we had to navigate the whole thing with, okay, who do we hire? What does it look like to run a shop? And all this kind of stuff. Eric was just there, and he's just so matter of fact. And just, you know, I literally could not have done that without him. Seriously. Alan Wolf, he was a great friend of my dad. And I will say, as probably some other people, he gracefully endured some scrapes for being friends with my dad. You know, a lot of people stood by him. He was kind of crotchety sometimes, but you know, people stood by him.
I never saw him that way.
Don Verrett. Did Don get here yet? Don Verrett. Did he get here? No. Okay. Not here yet. Don Verrett. So he was with the campus police at University of Texas, and you know, it meant so much to my dad. I mean, this just in his mind elevated him even further. Don would get my dad these parking places whenever he would go to a UT football game, and so my dad, you know, got to be pretend rock star with that whole thing with his VIP treatment. It really was great. It meant a lot to him. So you know, lost my place. My brothers and I are so grateful for your impact on our lives and for your support of our dad. By loving our dad, befriending him, or even admiring him, with, you know, he had always had kind of a groupie following. You made us feel really special. You made us feel like VIPs. It was really something to go anywhere, you know, in San Marcos or into the shop or whatever, and people would be like, "Oh, you're Don's kid." It was kind of cool.
Get out of here.
The price is 10% higher.
Yeah. So, parent-child relationships, our relationship with our dad, and maybe some of you guys, they can be kind of difficult, but our dad's public persona was something special to be part of. And it was really cool having a dad that so many people looked up to. It really was. That's not your, you know, regular civil employee, you know, just typing away. You know, we got Don. I remember the fundraiser. I'm not sure how old I was, Terry, when at the Majestic, when Stan Waterman did he was like the headliner after Jacob's Well. I think Dad didn't have health insurance at that time, and the business was almost going bankrupt, and there was this huge fundraiser that as a kid, that was just really something to be part of. Just seeing your dad be such a big shot, you know, like, wow, this is for my dad. And that's the scuba community, you know, they really just come together for each other. Dad was well known and respected around town as well as in the diving community. And I can tell you that was pretty neat, like I was saying, but it also had its drawbacks. As a teenager, it occasionally brought, more often than not, some unwanted surveillance from the San Marcos PD and the DPS troopers. My dad, I remember one time I came in and he says, "So, at 10:31, you were at 7-Eleven. Thanks, Dad. Just letting me know. He was really a serious hard ass, as I guess everybody knows. But honestly, he did come through for me several times. I think I had a little easier time, probably because I'm a girl, than both of these guys. But that's life with Don. So, in the last few years, gosh, I guess about the last 15 years, he's had some real scrapes. Drove his Corvette into those couple of oak trees back there. He's, you know, had some strokes and some other hospitalizations, the Jacob's Well thing, and honestly, I was just really shocked that he did end up passing away this time. I don't know if that's just classic denial or based on all these, you know, scrapes that he had been through. But you know, in my mind, I had this joke going that he like had the 9 lives and so on and so forth. And I went through and added up his pretty close scrapes, which, you know, some not everybody knows about, but I think there were 6. And so I was like, just a joke, you know. He's going to make it through this, but he didn't. And so my thing is, he was close call Don for so long, and then not this time. He's not. But I really, really do want to thank you all for coming so much today. It really does mean a lot to just swap the stories and hear the memories. And I just especially want to say thank you to Michelle. Hopefully she's out here with us. If anybody doesn't know Michelle, she's the owner of the shop now, and she is allowing us to have this event here today, and she's just the perfect person to have the shop now. She's got so much passion. She's got a super sweet persona, loves the sport, and just, I mean, that was so lucky that day that you walked in there, and I remember sitting down with Michelle and interviewing her. She's just perfect. So please say hi to her and visit the shop, and thank you so much, Michelle, for letting us come here today. So, thank you. Mr. Peterson?
Folks, this time there are a lot of stories that could be told. The next one up in line is Eric, the Peterson man. He's even wearing the Don Dibble shorts.
Thank you all very much. For those that I have not met yet, my name's Eric Peterson. I was the third dive store manager here. I'm still in the diving industry, so I date way back into the late 70s. The first, for those who might remember, was a guy named Willie Boswell was the first manager, and then David Vardaman. Some remember David Vardaman. And then I was the third manager. After me came Ben Thomas, and then Michelle bought the store. Michelle, as Patricia said, has done an outstanding job. Please tell your friends about how great diving is, because it really is still a great sport, and I'm still in that sport. Today I work for a diving manufacturer called Scuba Pro. We're one of the largest manufacturers of diving equipment. Don had a tremendous influence on all of us. Think about what Don did to all of us. He made people all over the Caribbean. There are people that work in the resort operations today that can thank their livelihood to Don. He did a lot for people as they came up through the ranks in the diving here at the dive shop. There are people still working for manufacturers that came through the dive shop. A fellow, Blake Bortner, you might remember from Oceanic. He works at Oceanic. Training agencies, magazines. Don had such a legacy in our diving industry. What? The divvy people, resort people. I cannot go to our trade show called DEMA Show without somebody asking me how Don's doing and what's happening with Don. So it'll be sad to talk to them in the future. I'd like for you to think just a minute about how Don influenced you. Did you know him from diving? Did you know him from someplace else? Kay had a great story last night. She got arrested. Where is she? She got arrested for a charity event.
At San Marcos Treatment Center.
At the treatment
Yeah.
center.
took me out with the Heart Association.
So we may not have all known Don from diving. She got arrested for a charity event because Don sent them out to get her.
Tell next story.
I almost crippled him because we were in Cozumel at the. Who's laughing? Somebody was there with us. He'd had 2 bilateral, knee replacements, and I didn't know that. And I came up behind him and did that knee thing. Oh, he was grumpy.
Please share your stories and your thoughts with others today while we have lunch. There's lots of photographs upstairs. I'd like to talk just a little bit about Don's accomplishments in the diving industry. This is just going to take me a minute. When I first came on the scene, again about the late 70s, Don Dibble was suing the state of Texas over air. What? Don sued the state of Texas over air. The state of Texas said this air that we breathe, that we pump into these scuba tanks, should be taxed. It's a product that should be taxed. Don argued, no, it's a labor. It's a labor that we do, and therefore it's not taxable. Don won that lawsuit. That was a long time ago. Terry just remembers this. Anybody else remember that one? Shortly after that, in the late 70s, Don was asked to go to the country of Brazil. The senator from Brazil asked Don and Terry to come down and start a diving program in Brazil. So Don and his wife, did Mitch go?
No, he was way
born.
Way
I'll get to you.
He was conceived in Brazil.
So Don and Terry ran an operation, or went down to kind of negotiate and talk about a diving operation in Brazil. They brought back a dear friend of ours, Roberto Alves. Some maybe remember Roberto that was at the dive shop for many, many years.
Yep.
He came as a direct result of Don and Terry going to Brazil to try to open a diving operation there. In the late 70s, the diving industry wanted to make diving more fun, more faster. We wanted to emulate ourselves from the skiing industry. So Don was asked to be in a pilot program to make dive classes more interesting, maybe shorter if you will, a little bit more, just kind of redo the whole way the diving industry looks at diving classes. So Don went to Denver, Colorado and was part of that GEM program to redo the diving industry, and those state standards still are in place today. Most everybody remembers the story of Jacob's Well. Jacob's Well, a beautiful piece of water not far from here in Wimberley. Don was involved in a diving accident back in the late 80s. The story has been well documented. There's books been written about it. I made copies of a Reader's Digest article. So if you're interested in learning more about the accident that happened at Jacob's Well, it was written by a dear friend of ours, O.C. Garza, and there are reprints available upstairs of the Reader's Digest article on Jacob's Well. There's lots of memorabilia up there too, and some of us could talk about the tragedy that happened at Jacob's Well, but I'd rather not. Don made history at that event. He was the first and only person ever to blow out his stomach in a diving accident. It's a medical anomaly that I don't think has been repeated to this day. It was truly took the whole dive industry by surprise, and the whole dive industry got behind Don in his time of need when he needed hospitalization and medical coverage. So there, as Patricia said, fundraisers really throughout the country to help Don after his recovery of some individuals from Jacob's Well, and then the subsequent accident that happened to him at Jacob's Well. Can't talk enough about that, but you certainly still hear stories about Jacob's Well. There's lots of memorabilia, and if you're interested in the article, I've made some reprints available upstairs. At one time, Don had a couple different dive stores. We had one in Dallas and one in Houston. Some may remember the days of having a couple different operations, diving concepts, and one was in North Richland Hills and one was over in Houston. The area became the largest instructor training. People came from all over the country to become scuba instructors in this area. I like to always say that this is kind of the hub of the diving industry right here in San Marcos. We're passionate about the scuba diving that we do here in San Marcos, and Don was as well. Don brought instructor candidates from all over the country. Many of you attended those instructor clinics. And at one time we would have 30 and 40 people attending these instructor programs. So it really was one of the largest instructor programs to make scuba instructors in the country. About that same time, we developed the largest scuba program at Southwest, what was once Southwest Texas University, became the largest scuba diving program in the nation. With Jake and many of the other, Randy and many of the other instructors, James Gorley, we were certifying over 1,200 students a year, which is a phenomenal number of people learning how to dive through a scuba program at Texas State University. Patty, who's a big training organization, wrote their textbook on how to do a college program based on what we were doing right here in San Marcos. About 36 years ago, Don had a passion about the San Marcos River and cleaning the river. To this day, there is still a river cleanup. In fact, this morning, ending right now, is I think the 36th annual river cleanup. And Don was an instrumental part in starting that river cleanup. At that time, it was called the Treasure Hunt. There was a big one in the Comal River in New Braunfels called the Treasure Fest. Tell me, Terry. Trash Fest. And Don did his own called the Treasure Fest, Treasure Hunt. It is still going to this day. When Aquarina was sold to Southwest Texas State and now Texas State, they wanted to develop a diving program concentric to that body of water. So Don was instrumental in developing what's called the Scientific Diver Program, or the diving authorization class over at Texas State, at Southwest Texas now. It's now called the Meadow Center, but the program and the policies and the procedures that Don put in place are still being observed over in the Scientific Diving Department at the Meadow Center today. So Don really had, I think I've lost the rest of my notes. Is there another page? I think that's it. So again, I want to thank everybody for coming. Don meant a lot to every one of us individually. Let's go upstairs and have dinner. Back to Nick. Thank you all very much.
It is incumbent upon you to share your stories. You may come up and do this, or you can wait until we go up and share stuff over something great like barbecue that Patricia is offering us and the store is offering us. Thank you very much for coming. May you always keep Don's memory alive. And may God bless each and every one of you as you travel back to your home. Thank you so much for coming. And thank you.